Gwen compliments the Spider-Woman named Jessica Drew. They also prevents a helicopter from crashing into people in the museum with their webs. Gwen, who takes most of the weight of the helicopter, is exhausted and staggers around in the building. Stacy comes into the building and points his gun at Gwen in an attempt to arrest her when she removes her mask, revealing her identity to her dad. Captain Stacy is shocked to see that his daughter is Spider-Woman, but still insists on arresting her despite her pleas that she did not kill Peter Parker. Miguel uses his web to disarm Captain Stacy and imprison him with web technology. Jessica begs Miguel to let Gwen come with them, and eventually he gives her a watch so that she can travel with them to another universe, and she thinks about it. In New York, Miles Morales fights a villain who claims to be his nemesis. At the store, the villain names himself the Spot and is a bit difficult for Miles to handle, but eventually he manages to capture him. Miles heads for the guidance counselor office at his school as his parents are waiting for him and are getting quite agitated because of his tardiness. He gets to the meeting and they question him about the reason he's late, but he eventually settles down to go on with the meeting with the guidance counselor. They discuss his future and he says that he wants to study quantum mechanics at a university outside New York. His parents disagree, but he makes his point that they have to let him grow. Outside the office, Miles sees Spot, who has freed himself from the webbing around him, and goes out telling his parents that he has to go. Officer Morales also receives a call about a robbery and heads out, leaving his wife. Miles suits up and fights the Spot. Their fights go from one portal made by Spot to another, and eventually they fall into a construction site where the Spot tells him that the spider that bit Miles was brought to their universe by him, and that when Miles destroyed the collider while fighting Kingpin, he was in the room and was transformed into what he is now. In a bit of rage, he charges at Miles but ends up kicking himself into his own portal. Officer Morales talked to Spider-Man about his son, not knowing he is talking to Miles. Miles advises him to let his son spread his wings and swing away. Spot discovers that he can travel across universes. Later that night, the Morales throws a party to celebrate the promotion of Officer Morales to captain. Miles misses the speech as he's out fighting crimes, but manages to buy cakes. He arrives at the party late and his parents question him. This leads to getting rid. He goes to his room, plugs his headphones in, puts them over his head, and lies on his bed. A portal opens and Gwen Stacy jumps into his room. She hugs him and checks out Miles' room as Miles tries to hide some of his stuff. She sees a sketch pad with a lot of drawings of her on his bed and tells him that she misses him as well. She tells him that they should go and hang out, but Miles tells her that he is grounded. Eventually he agrees and he suits up. Together they swing around the city and show off to themselves the new tricks they've picked up. They also capture a thief. In the middle of their hangout, Gwen sneaks to a corner and releases a robot spider from her watch to monitor the Spot, and then goes back to Miles. Captain Morales and his wife go to check on Miles in his room, but find Gwen's sweater, and his dad yells out that Miles will be grounded for 6 months. They hang out on a tall building to talk. Gwen outlines that she joined a new organization and made some friends such as Hobie. She also tells Miles that in every universe Gwen and Spider-Man date each other, which prompts Miles to want to hold her hand. But she ends her sentence by saying that in every universe it doesn't have a good outcome, which makes Miles retract his hand. They went back to the party and had some food. While Miles checks out Gwen's multiversal traveling watch and wonders why he wasn't picked as well, she tells him that it is a small elite group. Captain Morales and his wife come to them and Miles introduces Gwen. Gwen's watch starts beeping and she tells them that she has to go, and then leaves, shaking Miles' hand. Miles is sad and his mother gestures to her husband to leave them alone. While she talks to Miles, she asks him what's up with him, and he almost confesses to being Spider-Man but apologizes for coming late to the party. His mother tells him to go after Gwen after seeing that he seems sad. He thanks his mother and goes after Gwen. Gwen arrives at a blown-out building and Miles turns invisible and follows. She uses it and sees Spot dragged into it, leading to an explosion. She panics as Jessica's hologram hovers over her and asks for a progress report using Lila. She discovers that Spot escaped from Gwen and asks where Gwen was. She tells her that she was with Miles and begs her not to tell Miguel, and Jessica gives her a second chance. Lila gets Spot's location and Jessica tells Gwen that she is giving her 1 hour to fix things and that she will contact the local Spider-Man in the universe to help her. Gwen looks out at New York and says goodbye before heading into a portal. Miles watches all this happen and also follows her. They fall into another universe in a city called Mumbaton. The spot, Miles saved Gwen from falling and she asked why he followed her. They are in this when Paviter Prabhakar arrives and introduces himself as the Spider-Man of that universe. Together they find the spot and try to fight him, but he escapes and they followed him into a building where he locks them out with a force field. Miles tries unsuccessfully to absorb the force field as Spot fires up the collider. Hobie arrives and breaks the force field. Gwen and Pavit Prabhakar are happy to see Hobie while Miles considers him strange. Spot absorbs the collider's wormhole leading to an explosion and Miles sees a vision that he can't decipher. Spot says that he will take everything from Miles before entering the portal. Miles, Hobie, Gwen and Paviter Prabhakar run out of the building as it collapses, saving people. Miles saves Captain Singh and a kid as Paviter Prabhakar is busy holding a bus that has Gayatri Singh, his girlfriend, and some other people in it. The crowd thanks Miles, Hobie, Gwen, and Paviter. The spider team arrives and tries to stop a black hole that has started growing. Miles introduces himself to Jessica and she tells him that her boss wants to see him. Hobie, Gwen and Miles go into a portal. Miles is awestruck by the number of Spider-Man at the Spider Society headquarters and also by the size. Hobie tries to get him to leave the Spider Society, asking Miles the reason he wants to join. While picking up some gadgets along the way, Jessica gives Miles a temporary watch to stop him from glitching and they show him around the headquarters. Miles meets Spider Bite, a spider woman whose avatar works at the Spider Society headquarters. Miles eventually meets Miguel. Miguel expresses his anger about Miles saving Captain Singh and says that it was a canon event. Peter Parker comes in and tells Miguel to cut Miles some slack. Miles is happy to see Peter and Peter also introduces him to his daughter, Mayday, who also has spider powers. Miguel explains the concept of the Spider-Verse to Miles and tells him that some events have to happen and those events are called canon event. He tells him that if enough canon events disrupted it could lead to the destruction of the Spider-Verse. He then tells him of how he tried to live the life of his variant in another universe which led to the destruction of that universe. He tells him that he created the Spider Society for this reason. Miles remembers his vision of the Spot about to kill his dad. He says that his dad is now a captain. Miguel tells him that his dad has to die and that it is a canon event. Miles insists on going to save his dad, but Miguel captures him while Peter and Gwen try to talk Miguel into releasing Miles. Hobie signals to Miles to use his palm and Miles does. He absorbs the electricity and disperses it, freeing himself, and runs out of the room. All the Spider-Men tries to catch Miles, but he jumps out of the building as Hobie leaves. Gwen tries to catch Miles, but he looks at her with disappointment in his eyes while he rips her web off and he escapes. Peter with Mayday on his chest tries to explain the reason with Miles, but he doesn't listen. Miguel tracks Peter's location and finds Miles. He beats Miles and tells him that he is an anomaly and that he is the only reason Peter died in his universe. He says that Miles wasn't meant to be a Spider-Man and shouldn't have been bitten. Miles notices that Gwen and Peter know about what Miguel is saying, which angers him. He uses his electricity power to zap Miguel and tells him that he just lured all of the Spider-Man out of the headquarters and then jumped off the train they were fighting on. He says goodbye to Gwen, but Miguel jumps after him. Invisible Miles activates the Go Portal machine and scans his eye to send himself back home when Spider-Bite notices a problem with the machine and tries to fix it. Miguel arrives and tries to stop Miles from escaping, and he also yells at Spider-Bite to stop him, but Miles looks at her and she allows the machine to send Miles home. Miguel sends Gwen back to her universe saying that Miles' escape is her fault. Miguel takes Ben and Jessica along with him and goes to Miles' universe. Gwen and her dad finally talk and he quits being the captain of the police department, saying that Gwen is his greatest achievement and gives her a gift Hobie dropped by, which is a watch. Gwen uses the watch to open a portal and tells her dad that she will come back, then enters the portal. She ambushes Ben and takes his watch. Miles makes it back home and reveals to his mom that he is Spider-Man, but his mom doesn't know who Spider-Man is and takes the confession as a joke, then leaves his room. Miles glitches and he realizes that he is in another universe. Miles' uncle Aaron comes through the room and Miles was happy to see him alive and hugs him and says that he missed him, which surprises Aaron. Gwen arrives at Miles's room but doesn't see him and hears his parents talking. She senses that he is in another. Jessica also spies on Miles' parents. Gwen comes out of Miles' room and assures his parents that she will find him. Miles and Aaron go to the roof and he sees a photo of his dad on a wall indicating that he is dead in this universe. But before he can fully process this, Miles is knocked out cold by a strange figure. He regains consciousness tied to his uncle's punching bag in his apartment. Shortly afterwards, the Prowler approaches Miles, then slowly removes his mask, revealing he is no other than Miles Morales from this universe with cornrows and looking cold as ice in a world without a Spider-Man. He has no regard for his dad from another universe dying. Back in his home universe, the Spot makes his entrance, having his sights on Officer Morales. Gwen gathers her own spider variants which swing into action to save Miles and ultimately his dad. This great movie is set to be continued. Thank you for watching, guys. Please remember to subscribe to this channel for more animated recaps. Welcome back to our channel, guys. Today we will be recapping the movie, Superman vs. Batman. Spoiler alert, watch out and take care. In the city of Gotham, after facing a devastating alien attack a year ago, has started rebuilding, and their sister city Metropolis has aided them with a whopping $100 million. The mayor announces that Superman will personally deliver the funds, as Bruce Wayne and Damian along with the reporter Lois Lane watches the mayor's speech from the crowd. Soon the roof lifted and there he was, the Man of Steel. Superman is welcomed by the mayor and the crowd with thunderous applause. He unveils a giant check worth $100 million donated by the good people of Metropolis to the city of Gotham. Suddenly an invitee attacks, who Superman recognized as the villain Metallo. Armed with a kryptonite in his metal chest weakens the power of Superman greatly. Bruce Wayne and Damian quickly change into Batman and Robin to chase Metallo down to save Superman. Metallo takes Superman into an empty junkyard to beat him up, but Batman and Robin show up to defend Superman. As Metallo mocks Batman for not being able to overpower him, Batman signals the Batmobile to come into action. The Batmobile crashes Metallo into a wall and blasts him. Metallo emerges from the flames, but Batman shows Robin that they are able to crack the kryptonite in his chest and jumps to attack him. Robin's Batarang was able to get the job done and they are able to get their hands on the kryptonite. As Batman instructs Robin to take it away, Superman regains his strength quickly and comes to the aid of Batman, who is fighting with Metallo. He then punches Metallo into a crusher and powers him down. Batman doesn't hand over the kryptonite to Superman as he doesn't trust him. This, however, annoys Superman. Then he uses his X-ray vision to see who Batman really is. Bruce then tells him he is not very trusting, and stated not when it comes to kryptonite. Plus, he now knows Batman is the famous billionaire Bruce Wayne. In LexCorp, Luthor is furious at the loss of Metallo at the hands of Batman after equipping him with kryptonite and plans his next move to take down Superman. Meanwhile, Batman reaches his new tech center inside Wayne Industries. A high-tech robot dressed in a bat suit armor appears, and it is revealed to be controlled by Lucius, CEO of Wayne Industries and Bruce Wayne's good friend. They discuss strategies and Robin is excited to find a jetpack with a rocket launcher made for him. Batman goes through the surveillance data in Metropolis City to track down Superman to uncover his identity. Supersonic disturbances in the Metropolis atmosphere pinpoint to Daily Planet and Metropolis Garden Apartments. Batman deduces Superman's secret identity and his residence. The next day, when Clark enters, Bruce Wayne is already waiting inside his apartment, surprising him. Superman states that he is truly the world's greatest detective, completely forgetting about Sherlock Holmes. However, Bruce hands over the kryptonite that is coated in lead and safely packed in a box. Before taking his leave, Bruce invites Clark to join the Justice League. Soon after, Superman flies out to the outer atmosphere and throws the lead-lined kryptonite into the sun to burn it. In the next scene, it's Friday evening and Lois Lane is working late at Daily Planet. Without anyone noticing, Clayface enters the Daily Planet disguised as Clark Kent and abducts Lois. She is greeted by Black Mask in a limousine and they take off. Soon Superman flies to an abandoned warehouse to save Lois Lane, where Black Mask and his entourage is waiting for him. Black Mask shoots Superman with red sun energy beams which drain Superman of his powers. A weakened Superman is then attacked by Bane and Clayface, and finally Victor freezes him to make him totally incapacitated. However, with the minimal sunlight that he received, Superman breaks the ice only to realize he is still too weak to even defend himself. As Black Mask tries to shoot Superman again, Batman and Robin arrive. The Batarang strikes the beam gun and it thaws Victor Freeze. While Batman and Robin fight the criminals, Superman regains his energy by exposure to the yellow sunlight and fights back. If you are enjoying this recap, remember to subscribe to get notified whenever there is a new upload. Finally, they defeat the criminals, capture Black Mask, and save Lois Lane. Superman flies out after learning Lex Luthor is behind the whole thing. Meanwhile, Luthor has already hatched another scheme to take down the Man of Steel. Lex Luthor has captured Poison Ivy and is awaiting the arrival of Superman. Superman blasts through the door, but Lex, who is well prepared, shoves an enchanting gas made of spores of Poison Ivy and kryptonite to take control of Superman. During the night, Batman and Robin are watching over Gotham City. However, Batman's sixth sense tells him something is not quite right and suspects Superman to be in danger. He therefore goes to search Luthor's office with Robin. Batman finds kryptonite and plant spores residue and tracks Luthor down to his weapons factory. Batman finds Lex Luthor working on his new robot army with Mercy, his lady assistant. While sneaking into another part of the compound, Batman comes across Poison Ivy, who was imprisoned in a glass tube by Luthor. However, Clayface attacks, but Batman, who is always on alert, suddenly shoots a chemical compound and dehydrates Clayface, who is trying to sneak up on him. That is when the mastermind comes to the spotlight and reveals himself to Batman, although he knew from the very start it was Luthor who was behind all of this. Luthor presents a mind-controlled zombie-looking Superman, who only obeys him and explains his master plan to take control of Earth using his robot army, which he is going to deploy throughout the world. Just when Lex orders Superman to destroy the Bat, he quickly fires Batarangs to destroy the hypnotic device on Superman, causing the room to be filled with gas. Batman runs to the rooftop and Superman chases him using his X-ray vision. Superman easily overpowers Batman, and then Batman uses a piece of kryptonite that he kept in his belt to attack the Man of Steel. Just then both of them drop from the sky. However, Robin acts quickly and flies to rescue Batman with his jetpack while Superman makes a huge crash landing. Batman and Robin come to their secret Batcave outside of Wayne's mansion to get more kryptonite to equip themselves with. In no time, Superman tracks them down into the Batcave. Initially, Superman backs down to the power of kryptonite, which Batman uses against him but soon knocks it over. Batman arms himself in a robot batsuit to battle Superman and asks Robin to slow him down. Outside, Superman and Batman engage in a fierce battle, resulting in huge buildings to crumble and collapse. The Daily Planet, Gotham Times and GothCorp all arrive in helicopters to broadcast the clash of the Titans to the whole world. While the Man of Steel brings raw power to the ballgame, Batman levels the playing field using his technology and technique. Finally, Superman somehow manages to subdue Batman, but only to be attacked by Robin with his new rocket launchers. With the distraction Robin caused, they quickly escape into a warehouse and Batman uses atrazine gas to neutralize the effects on Superman by plant spore and kryptonite blend. A recovered Superman takes Batman and Robin to LexCorp's weapon facility where Luthor is ready to launch his new robot army. Superman takes on the launched robots in the sky and battles them in midair. Superman succeeds in disabling their firepower and destroys multiple robots. Batman and Robin attack Luthor's command center, making Luthor retreat to cover. Meanwhile, Mercy, his assistant, defends him. Just then a gigantic armed robot emerges from the facility which has Luthor in its command center. Mercy is quickly subdued by Batman and Robin, and at the same time, Robin hits the robot with explosives with no effect. But Batman attached a specially made Batarang which sends electrical signals that imitates a virus attack on the robot, leading to its system's failure. Superman attacks the failing robot from above and takes it down, much to the disappointment and anger of Lex Luthor as his master plan fails. After everything finishes, Batman is working on the Justice League's soon-to-be headquarters in the International Space Station. When Superman visits him with the recent events, Superman decides to accept the invitation to join the Justice League. since now he understands the need for allies and above all, the value of friendship. What do you think of this recap? Leave it in the comments section. Thank you for watching, guys. Please remember to subscribe to this channel for more animated recaps. Did they finally kill Superman? Stay tuned to find out. Welcome back to our channel, guys. Today we will be recapping the movie, Death of Superman. Spoiler alert, watch out and take care. The film begins in the Metropolis City Hall where the cops are trying to stop a notorious group called the Inter-Gang from kidnapping the mayor. The gang disposes of the cops with their advanced weapons, but just as they are about to start celebrating, our favorite Red Cape hero shows up just in time. Superman flies in and single-handedly stops them in their tracks. He defeats the gang and their leader Mannheim and heroically states that no one tears his city apart and gets away with it. Later, Cyborg discovers that the gang's armor was designed by Apocalypse technology, so he offers to take it to his father, who knows this stuff, for further information. During an interview with the Daily Planet's reporter Lois Lane, Superman presents the rocket that brought him to Earth from Krypton, and in it they find a Kryptonian crystal with information. Superman activates the crystal and a man appears in a hologram claiming he is a Kryptonian AI designed to assist Kal-El and also keeping the history of all Kryptonian bloodlines. Later, Superman flies Lois Lane back to the Daily Planet and then flies off. Then she enters the building. Inside the office, Lois Lane bumps into fellow news reporter Clark Kent, who she apparently is in a relationship with. Lane asks to meet Clark's parents and Clark reluctantly agrees, leaving Lane wondering if there really is something else she could find out about him. Later at Star Labs, Cyborg, Dr. Stone, and Dr. Irons are investigating the Inter-Gang's piece of armor. Dr. Irons discovers the armor has traces from both Apocalypse and Earth, making it stronger. This type could only be made by Star Labs, Wayne Technologies, or even worse, Lex Luthor. Following this, Superman confronts Luthor, who is confined to house arrest, but he denies any involvement. Meanwhile, a Superman's fan, Captain Hank Henshaw, leads a team of astronauts aboard the space shuttle Excalibur when a boom tube sends a meteorite heading towards the shuttle. Elsewhere, Lex Luthor arrives at his Lex Towers in a bearded disguise where a doctor takes off his house arrest tag, which he mysteriously mounted with pieces of kryptonite in his lab. Luthor has gathered a team of the best scientists of this generation. From there, he watches as the team in space is preparing for the incoming asteroid, which seems to have something inside of it. As Henshaw waits for Superman's rescue, the shuttle is destroyed as the other scientists are scattered out into space while Henshaw's body remains unaccounted for. The meteorite crashes into the Atlantic Ocean. As it is monitored by Luthor's underground research facility, Luthor sends a deep-sea exploration team to trace the crashed object, and they encounter Atlanteans. However, both groups are destroyed by a strange creature that emerges from the wreckage. Luthor is fascinated by the creature, which survived the catastrophic entry into Earth, and he wonders if he could finally be competition for the Red Cape hero. Later, Cyborg reports to the Justice League about the Excalibur incident with only 3 bodies recovered, and Aquaman says his guards are investigating the impacted area. Superman also learns that Flash told his girlfriend about his real-life name and plans to marry her, but Superman is worried about the dangers involved if he tells Lois Lane his secrets. Later that night, Clark takes Lois Lane to have dinner with his parents. Clark is afraid his dad is sharing too much information with Lane, while his mom starts to share about the girls who have broken Clark's heart before. Later, as she leaves, Lane is afraid Clark is holding too much from him, but Clark assures her all is well. The following day at work, as Clark is planning for lunch with Lane, he receives a report from Wonder Woman about an attack in a town by a strange creature. However, Clark declines since he has a date, but asks Diana to call him in case the League needs him. The alien wrecks the town, killing the cops, but the Justice League arrives tardily to help. In fact, the heroes soon discover the alien is not their normal villain, since he easily defeats them, forcing Batman to ask for backup. Elsewhere, Lex Luthor is creating an army using alien DNA, and he plans to use the new alien monster in town as a specimen. Meanwhile, Clark and Lois are on a date where he reveals there really is something he is hiding from her. He reveals he is Superman, but Lois bursts out in laughter. However, she soon finds the reality in it, since Clark is always on time. He writes captivating stories about Superman, and he also never sweats. Lois Lane soon turns to receive a call from her new news team informing her about the ongoing monster situation in Metropolis, which has already taken down half the Justice League. When she turns back to notify Clark, he is long gone, leaving behind a note outlining his last secret, which is he loves her. Superman arrives on the battlefield to find his team all busted up. All the citizens watch the news to see if he meets the challenge. As the fight rages through Metropolis, Luthor notes the creature now termed Doomsday by Lois Lane is a killing machine programmed to wipe out entire civilizations. The monster defeats Superman and Lex Luthor arrives wearing a battlesuit to join the fight. He asks Lois Lane to keep the camera rolling, aiming to become Metropolis' true protector, but he is defeated and Superman saves him. The monster is about to kill Superman, but his girlfriend Lois Lane appears and confronts the monster, which now turns towards her. The monster heads to kill her, but Superman summons his remaining strength and charges at him. He breaks its neck with his punch, killing it, but unfortunately, the monster had in turn sunk its alien claw in Superman, fatally wounding him. Lois runs to Superman and notifies him he just killed the monster and saved everyone. In her arms, Superman reveals he was truly lucky to have met her before he closes his eyes, leaving Lois teary-eyed and the Justice League members in grief. The news reports the incidents of Superman's death as the citizens watch in disbelief. Later, in a state funeral, the Metropolis City Mayor honors Superman as a hero and a friend to Metropolis while everyone mourns for him. The mayor also honors the Justice League members alongside Lex Luthor, who also gives a speech about how he misses Superman and his late-night visits at his balcony. Later, Superman's parents welcomed Lois into their family. Superman's top fan Bobby also mourns Superman and wonders why they had to take a hero like Superman and leave him around. At Star Labs, Luthor is cleared and tries to gain custody of Doomsday's body for a Project Cadmus, but he is denied. Suddenly, Superman's rocket starts itself up and flies off. Later, news reporter Jimmy takes Lois Lane to Superman's mausoleum, where they find his coffin open. They see a dark figure resembling Superman fly away, and the movie ends. In the post-credits scene, Dr. Irons appears forging Superman's logo onto metal armor. Elsewhere in the North Pole, Superman's ship lands and a Superman figure appears amidst a forming ice crystal structure, and finally a robot resembling Superman flies high above the Earth, bringing the movie to a somber end. Thank you for watching, guys. Please remember to subscribe to this channel for more animated recaps. Superman is possessed by a demon who helps him and the Justice League to defeat Darkseid. Welcome back to today's recap. Spoiler alert, watch out and take care. In the beginning of the film, John Constantine is lying in bed with his girlfriend Z, the couple of new members of the Justice League, and now they are at the headquarters. The girl is very concerned about her new profession and John calms her down. They wanted to go to bed, but Batman announced over the loudspeakers that all the heroes should come to the hangar. There, Superman explains to the new arrivals what is happening at the moment. He even shows the Team Apocalypse, Darkseid's home planet. He tells them about Darkseid's first invasion of Earth and claims that it was because of the first attack that the Justice League was formed. The second attack involved Cyborg, Superman and his cyber forces. However, Raven, one of the heroines, gets sick during the superhero story, but she doesn't tell anyone about it. Diana reports that Apocalypse has infiltrated their dimensions and released drones, after which he retreated again. Superman claims that soon Darkseid will try to take over the Earth. Flash is interested in Darkseid's intentions, and he asks what assumption Superman has, whether the villain will capture the Earth right now or it will happen in the distant future. Superman, in response to his question, shows pictures taken from the worlds captured by Darkseid. Justice League intelligence reports that the villain is sending his elite guards as an occupying force. Superman outlines that the team is faced with a real and very dangerous problem that they have to solve. Many team members offered to make a deal with Darkseid, but Superman was categorically against it. He states that the villain created a monster that once almost killed him, therefore the only way to win is to destroy Darkseid. Flash and Constantine argue that the villain does not deserve to die and war should be avoided, because otherwise a lot of people will die. Superman still stands by his opinion. Next, Diana tells the team their plan, but there is a traitor in the midst. Through Cyborg's eye, Darkseid saw and heard what the Justice League was going to do in order to destroy him. The Justice League is off on their mission to save the world. Through the portal, they move to the Apocalypse. Almost immediately, ships began to attack. The scene changes to 2 years later. Planet Earth is enveloped in darkness. There are a lot of destroyed buildings and cities, and people do not go outside. Darkseid guards are patrolling through the streets. Constantine is in a bar drinking whiskey with his friend Edragon. Clark Kent and Raven come for him. Superman reminds an old friend of himself, after which Darkseid monsters break into the bar and attack them. They defeat the monsters and a dialogue ensues between them. Superman looked different, his eyes were green and there was a green Superman logo tattoo on the skin of his chest. Superman claimed that it was because of liquid kryptonite so that he would not become a threat to Darkseid. This means the hero was deprived of his superpowers as a result. Raven feels terrible and hears a voice in her head she soon gets better. They both came to the bar to take Constantine with them, but the man refused their request. Raven tried to manipulate Constantine, saying that his dead girlfriend would like to see her man as a hero. However, Constantine is not moved by these words. Constantine brought his old friends to his office. They both retells what had happened in that battle. Darkseid knew all their actions and was able to stay one step ahead of the heroes. Because of this, many members of the Justice League died at the very beginning of the battle. The villain did not kill everyone as he had plans for some of the heroes. A few days after the battle, Darkseid sent his subordinates to Earth, so the heroes had no chance of winning. Constantine remembered how his beloved died, and he ran away at that moment. Now he doesn't understand why he did it. They both came for Constantine because they needed to search magic. John agreed to help, but before that he had one thing to do. He left and asked his old friends to wait for him in the office. Darkseid continues to destroy the Earth. He plans to gain power over the space sector. He even made Batman become his servant. Batman followed all his given instructions and reported all the work done to his master. Superman learns that new destructive equipment has appeared in China. Constantine returns to the heroes. Superman asks him to find Damian Wayne. The heroes are transferred through the portal to the location on the map. However, Batman contacted Luthor and told him the plan of action, which is to extend Darkseid's power to the entire universe. When the heroes got to the location, they were attacked by Damian's guards. They managed to fight back and found Damian, who was not happy to see Superman. Raven hears the voice in her head again and falls into a trance in which her father contacts her. It is his voice that torments the girl. He insults and humiliates her in every way and swears to take revenge for everything. Damian calls Raven and Clark to follow him. The young man claims that many of his comrades died because of that battle. Superman says they need to get to Batman and Damian can hack into Darkseid's program. After all, he is the son of Batman, so he agrees to help save him. The team is transferred to Stryker's Island, but Raven is getting worse. Meanwhile, on the island, Clark's girlfriend Lois fights Harley Quinn in the arena. A lot of people were watching them. Although Clark thought that the girl would negotiate, Lois defeats Harley and becomes the champion. Harley snatches the microphone from the host and tells the Suicide Squad that they will go to Lex Luthor and take back the planet tomorrow. Harley and Lois go to her office. Lois wants to show her something. Sheeta took Damian and Raven to a separate room so that the girl could rest. The young man asks how she contacted Clark. She said that she wanted to end her life by suicide and Superman saw it and saved her. Damian confesses his feelings to the girl. He wanted to find the League of Assassins and invited the girl along with him, but at that moment she refused. Raven told the young man that she didn't want to reject him. The fact was that her father wanted to kill Damian and the girl could not take the risk. Lois shows the new allies and heroes the Darkseid machines that have appeared in China, the Congo, and on the shores of England. These equipment moved the Earth's magma to Darkseid's base. The heroes need to blow up the apocalypse, but for this they need to lure out the Paradums, which consist of improved Batman's DNA. Lois suggests they do this by stealing 2 trucks, thus the Paradums will go from the apocalypse to Earth. Next, the team will capture Luthor's tower and teleport to the apocalypse and destroy it. The team will wait until Darkseid goes to away, then when they get to the apocalypse they will close the portal so that Darkseid does not get back. Without the apocalypse, the villain will not be able to destroy the Earth. Lois learns about all this information from the sleeper who was with Darkseid. He had been giving her information about the villain for months. The team needs to act as quickly as possible as the molten core of the planet will be depleted in a week. This plan is very risky, but the team has no other choice. Harley and Captain Shark found the truck and made their way to the Luthor Tower. Darkseid goes to away and orders Batman not to bother him. The team is already inside the tower. The sleeper informs Lois that Darkseid has gone to away. The first team and the second team went to damage the equipment. Batman teleports his Paradums to Earth. Lois is concerned that the sleeper has not yet reported that the Paradums have left the apocalypse. The girl begins to blame herself that she did not assemble a third team. Constantine, thanks to his abilities, went to the third machine. he summoned his old friend. John Constantine set up the monster to ruin the equipment, then he returned to his team. Lois said that Constantine's plan worked, but they were just acts without any plan. The superheroes went to battle with the army of Darkseid. Luthor on CCTV cameras saw the heroes heading to the top of the tower. Lois informs the team that the gate is on the floor above and the team is in a hurry to get there. Suddenly Luthor appears in an exosuit and prevents the heroes from passing on. Lex starts attacking the team, but Raven deftly handles him. Superman stops the action of the team and says that they need Luthor, however Damian does not agree with him. Luthor tries to justify himself and says that at the end of that battle he was surrounded and since then he has been forced to work for Darkseid. However, Lex was exactly the same sleeper who helped the team and transmitted all possible information so that the heroes could move forward. Luthor was really useful to the team as he knew all of Darkseid's plans, therefore the heroes took him with them. The teams that caused damage to War Machine and fought with the villain's drones, many of them were already dead. Superman puts on an exosuit that Luthor gave him. The exosuit and all the weapons that Luthor gave to the team consisted of kryptonite. Meanwhile, Lois decided to stay on Earth and make sure that the portal remained closed. The heroes teleported to the apocalypse where they were attacked by their old friends. Their minds were controlled by Darkseid. In this battle their team lost Edrigen. Constantine managed to free Diana's mind from Darkseid's control and she joined their team. Wonder Woman pointed the heroes to the tunnel that leads to the power generator and she decided to deal with the attacking opponents herself. Some heroes stayed in the tower with Lex and Lois. They decided to stop the monsters that have arrived on Earth since if they return to the apocalypse the plan will not work. Meanwhile the team reached the power generator. There they saw the Flash. With the help of his speed, the power generator was operational. Flash was forced to run to maintain its functioning constantly. Superman destroyed the generator and saved the Flash. The superhero said that after that battle Darkseid reactor was damaged and the villain made Flash his replacement. The Flash was off the energy generator, but the heroes could not blow it up. However, the team had gone too far, they needed to revisit the plans. Meanwhile, the team of heroes who stayed on Earth began to fight monsters. Their weapons were running out of ammo and they had to close the portal to teleport to other dimensions. Heroes on the apocalypse faced a laser attack indoors. Raven created a protective dome, but she couldn't hold it for long. The girl could not restrain herself and her strength burst out. However, she repelled the attack of lasers and fell to the floor from exhaustion. As it turned out, it was her father who wanted to get out. Suddenly the team notices the cyborg's body. It was taken apart and mounted to the wall. Their former colleague is now a servant of Darkseid as a source fence. Darkseid ordered him to capture the heroes alive to watch their punishment. Constantine uses magic to free the cyborg and all the other heroes from Darkseid's control. Superman tries to pull their friend out of the wall, but Cyborg hurried to stop him. As there is little left of the superhero's body. He wanted to warn them about something, but Batman appeared and Darkseid came with him. Superman rushed to attack, but Darkseid destroyed his exosuit and threw the superhero aside. Darkseid through Batman's mind presses on the sore topics of Constantine and Damian. The young man hears his own father calling him a burden and pulls out his kryptonite sword. He tells Batman to kill him if he really thinks he is a burden. Darkseid orders Batman to destroy Damian and the superhero gets off his chair and activates attack mode on him. After that the chair starts shooting laser at the superheroes. Batman himself began to fight with his son. He is much stronger and smarter than the young man, but when it was necessary to strike the last blow, Batman remembered how as a child a loaded pistol was held in front of his face. Suddenly the hero took control of his consciousness and struck Darkseid. The villain got angry and decided to strike back, but Damian stood in front of Batman and took the hit. The young man was down but saved his father's life. Raven sees this and can't control herself. Because of this, her father is closer to getting out. Constantine offered the demon his body to kill Darkseid, but the demon preferred Clark's body and possessed him. After that he killed Constantine and began to fight with Darkseid. Damian was still alive. He apologized to his father and asked to save the heroes, after which he died. Lois tries to contact Clark, but Batman answers her. The hero takes her to the big screens and Clark sees her. Lois says that she loves him very much, after which a powerful explosion occurs and Lois, along with the entire team on the ground, dies. Superman expels the demon from his body and regains his abilities. Darkseid captures the demon and starts fighting Superman. Constantine meets with his dead girlfriend and realizes that he also died. Z outlines that she needed to apologize to him. On the day of their first attack when the girl was dying, she used a compulsion spell to make Constantine escape and survive. After this conversation, the girl claims that their friends need Constantine and he needs to go back. Raven cries over Damien's corpse and confesses her feelings, but as soon as her tears get on his skin, he comes to life. Z kisses Constantine and he comes to life on Earth. The heroes devised a new plan in which Cyborg offers to send the heroes to the platform and bring the Paradums back, then throw the apocalypse into nowhere and Darkseid will be forever locked up with his monsters. Constantine and Raven release Raven's father to freedom so that he distracts Darkseid and the heroes can return to the platform together. The demon does not attack Superman and tells him to leave as soon as possible. Cyborg opens the portal and the heroes leave. Then the apocalypse was teleported to an unknown dimension and the Earth was saved. The heroes mourned the dead loved ones. Batman outlined the bad news, stating that the inhabitants lost not a small part of the Earth's core and the rotation of the planet was disrupted. Batman estimates that about 1 billion more people will die before superheroes can take control of everything, but Superman is not going to give up. He is ready to fight for the Earth. Thank you for watching, guys. Please remember to subscribe to this channel for more animated recaps. Flash runs into the Speed Force to save his mother from dying, only to mess up the rest of the Justice League members. Welcome back to our channel, guys. Today we are recapping the film, Flashpoint Paradox. Spoiler alert, watch out and take care. The film opens with Barry having a flashback when their car breaks down. Barry's mother teaches him a lesson about accepting the things that cannot be changed, changing those that can, and knowing the difference. Later, Barry comes home from school and finds his mother had been murdered. In the present day, an adult Barry pays his respects to his late mother on her birthday and he mourns, wishing he could have saved her. Just then, he gets a phone alert about a break-in at the Flash Museum and heads for it, leaving his girlfriend Iris behind. Barry transforms into the Flash and arrives at the museum being attacked by 5 different villains. Flash begins to fight them, but they glue him onto the wall with adhesive. While trapped, Flash questions the villains and his archenemy Eobard Thawne. The Reverse Flash enters and reveals he hired the villains in order to tarnish the Flash's reputation by destroying the city. However, Flash also throws some adhesive which captures Reverse Flash too. Just then, the Justice League swoops in to help and they plan how to deactivate Reverse Flash's bombs. With no other options, Flash instructs them to move the villains away from the area and deactivate them separately, and the bombs are disabled and detonated in secured areas. Despite their victory, Thawne taunts Flash about not being able to save everyone, especially those who matter to him. Batman advises Flash that Thawne is only messing with him, but with his mother on his mind, Flash races into the Speed Force in an attempt to save her from dying. The next day, Barry wakes up in his office where James Forrest informs him about recent events with Captain Cold and Elongated Kid. Barry asks more about the captured villain from the Playing News, but Forrest has no idea. Barry then heads out to capture the criminals, but he discovers that his powers are gone. His mother is alive and she reminds him of her birthday. Barry then realizes the world has changed drastically and his mother has also never heard of a superhero called the Flash, only the Batman. Meanwhile in Gotham, Batman fights with Yodo on top of Wayne Casino. He easily subdues Yodo and asks her for the location of the Joker, who is holding Judge Dent hostage. Yodo denies knowing, so Batman throws her off the building, but she is caught by Cyborg. Cyborg approaches Batman and reveals that in the war, Aquaman and his Atlantean forces have sunk most of Europe, while Wonder Woman has led the Amazons in conquering Great Britain. Cyborg asks Batman to join their resistance and help them against the two teams, but he refuses. Meanwhile, Barry discovers that his wife Iris is married and has a child. He later visits Bruce Wayne where he is attacked by Batman and he discovers Bruce's father Thomas Wayne is Batman since Bruce died in the robbery. Meanwhile, Steve Trevor runs through London looking to retrieve lost spy journalist Lois Lane being chased by Amazons, and Queen Diana later executes him. Batman tortures Barry as he reveals that in his world he is a superhero named the Flash. He gets out a suit from his ring, but it instead belongs to Zoom. Barry then realizes Zoom must have reversed the timeline and Batman agrees to help him after learning his son Bruce is alive and is also the Batman in his universe. In Europe, Lex Luthor and Deathstroke captain a ship to locate the Atlantean weapon of mass destruction, but their ship is attacked by Atlantean forces. Lex's forces are defeated and he is held captive and later gets executed by Aquaman. Barry sits in a chair at the Batcave and asks Batman to recreate the accident that led him to turn into Flash, and a reluctant Batman activates the lightning rod on the chair. The plan fails, however, and Barry is set on fire. Meanwhile, Cyborg tries to convince the president to let the superheroes help, but he refuses, stating the military will handle the Atlanteans, and he relieves Cyborg of his duty. Following this, Aquaman and Wonder Woman set up a peace meeting between them, and later he has an affair with Diana. Unstable and could potentially destroy the entire planet, but Aquaman is hellbent on punishing the Amazons for their queen's loss. Captain Atom is also shown to be the power source of their atomic weapon. Barry and Batman try again, and this time Barry regains his powers and saves Batman, who was knocked off by the lightning. Meanwhile, in London, journalist Lois Lane runs for her life while being sought after by the Amazons. She records her findings that Aquaman will invade England tomorrow but gets cornered by the Amazons. Lois has given up, but luckily she is saved by a yellow speedster who kills them all, then disappears. She is then met by the resistance team, who is on her side. Lois questions Grifter about the speedster who just saved her, but Grifter assures her that there is no speedster in their team. Later, Batman checks on Barry and is surprised that his wounds are healed. Alters Zoom's suit and recreates his old suit, becoming the Flash once again. He then tests his run but finds himself unable to run fast enough. On the other hand, General Sam Lane shows Hal Jordan his alien spaceship previously flown by Abin Sur, who claimed to have a magic ring which flew away into space. He plans to use it to destroy the Atlanteans' weapon, and Hal accepts the risky mission. Meanwhile, Flash discovers that he can't run fast enough to break the time barrier since another speedster is also using the Speed Force, predictably Professor Zoom. Flash decides to get help from Superman, who is the only one fast enough to break the barrier, but he discovers that Superman crashed into Metropolis 30 years ago. The two later meet up with Cyborg in Metropolis, and Batman agrees to join Cyborg's resistance only if he leads. They then ask Cyborg for his help in locating Superman. The three then head into the facility where the distressed Superman is held captive, and they liberate him. Once outside, security asks for their government property back. But Superman is recharged by the sun for the first time and fends off the attackers, but later flies away in confusion. Barry then collapses and has a seizure as his memories begin to change. Meanwhile, over the ocean, Hal Jordan flies the spacecraft and attempts to bomb Aquaman's army. However, he is swallowed by a giant sea creature controlled by Aquaman and explodes inside it. Barry later recuperates and learns that Jordan's attack has failed and that the final battle between the Amazons and Atlanteans has begun. Barry also convinces the doubtful young superheroes to help stop the war, and they depart for Britain aboard Batman's jet. On the other hand, Batman confirms Flash's suspicion that a yellow speedster Zoom is alive in this timeline. Suddenly, their plane is taken out of the sky by Atlanteans. Atlantean forces enter New Themyscira, where they are met by the Amazon forces led by Diana, the Wonder Woman. Suddenly the Resistance arrives and Lois tries to stop the fight but fails, and Aquaman and Wonder Woman fight each other. However, they are interrupted as Flash, Batman and Cyborg fight off Aquaman, while Wonder Woman fights against Captain Thunder. Batman gets injured in the exchange and Flash takes him away, and Batman asks him to find Zoom to change everything. However, Zoom appears to him and Flash chases him around, but Zoom outruns and immobilizes him. Zoom also reveals that when Barry tried to save his mother in a different timeline, he broke the time barrier and caused all this mess. In the fight, Aquaman fatally injures Cyborg while Diana ends Captain Thunder as Flash watches. However, Superman arrives and lasers off Aquaman's hand and comforts Cyborg as he shuts down. Diana then finds and finishes off Aquaman, who just activated his Captain Atom-powered weapon. As the explosion begins, Zoom mocks Barry, but Batman kills him. The dying Batman urges Barry to go back in time and fix this, giving him a letter as the explosion consumes everything. Barry later successfully enters the Speed Force and prevents his earlier self from saving his mother, hence preventing the Flashpoint. Following this, Barry wakes up in his office and notices the apocalyptic headlines are gone. He rushes out of his office and goes to his mother's grave to pay his respects, where his wife Iris arrives and comforts him. Flash is then seen in the Batcave explaining to Bruce the events of the Flashpoint and gives Bruce the letter from his father Thomas. Bruce opens it and cries, thanking him for his great delivery. Barry then waves goodbye and speeds back through the city. Thank you for watching, guys. Please remember to subscribe to this channel for more animated recaps. Welcome back to our channel, guys. Today we will be recapping the movie Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. Spoiler alert, watch out and take care. For land beings, the aquatic world contains dark and unknown mysteries. There are unknown creatures like the Krakens who have always been feared by humans. Ruby, a teenager living in Oceanside, gets ready for class. When she looks in the mirror, she hides her gills in the collar of her blouse. In an animated video, she presents her research on the prom, which will take place on a boat. However, her mom, Agatha, warns that she cannot go to the sea or get wet in the rain, forbidding the young woman from attending the party. Even though her daughter is passionate about the ocean, the woman is undeterred by the dangerous monsters the unknown can harbor. Soon after, the Gillman family prepares for their life among humans by agreeing that when someone asks why they are different, they should answer that they are from Canada. On her way to school, Ruby is surprised by Captain Gordon, who drives a vehicle full of tourists. The man questions the bluish complexion of the girl's skin, but she manages to convince him that she actually came from abroad. Afterward, the young woman gets on a video call with her human friends and is surprised when they let her know they'll be going to the party without her, hurting her feelings. While feeling annoyed by their collective decision, she confronts them. However, the young teenagers manage to convince Ruby to lie to Agatha about attending the dance and decide that the girl's next step is to extend an invitation to Connor, the young man she likes. So the girl believes she should just ask him based on a mathematical calculation, but Margot suggests she do something over the top. When they arrive at school, Ruby is surprised by the decorations, but is even more startled when Connor appears in the hallway. She quickly imagines herself making a request to him, however she is snapped back to reality when the young man approaches, leaving her dumbfounded. After the awkward encounter, the girl plans to use the confetti bomb to propose later. Soon after, she learns that Connor finds the extravagant requests a stretch, so she hides the confetti launcher and tries a simpler approach. Even so, the young woman ends up messing up and confesses that she will be sick on the day of the ball, leaving the young man confused. However, when she turns around, the confetti bomb falls and Connor picks it up and becomes curious about the object. While trying to retrieve the device, the girl presses a button which makes the device trigger, spraying thousands of confetti in the young man's face. This caused him to fumble and slip off the edge of the fence, falling into the sea. Quickly, Ruby tries to throw a buoy to save the young man, but the object is tied to a very short rope. Faced with this situation, the girl sees no other way out than to jump into the sea. Even with great fear, she clumsily swims against the force of the waters and finds Connor. Suddenly, the girl is thrown by the sea current and gets stuck in some seaweed.